a good amount of people. Great. Well, they kind of stole my idea, but this is good. It was a good starter for what we're going to talk about today. Did anybody see the conversation on the Facebook group about what's happening in the market right now and homes that have gotten a ridiculous amount of offers and people are feeling a little frustrated? You may have noticed that in the Facebook group. I think it was yesterday that popped up, maybe the day before. It's all blending together right now, guys. It's crazy out there. But it made me start thinking, and I've been reflecting a lot on this lately as I'm working with people in this market. This is unusual, and this unusual, very intense market is a perfect opportunity to really hone in on what we should be doing as agents and how we should be best serving our clients. And when things get intense, when things get challenging, that is the best time to hone in on your skills, to really make sure you're doing your job to the best of your ability. If you're a listing agent in this market, it's real easy to feel like you can basically put it on MLS and sit back and do nothing. But this is an intense time for buyers and sellers. And there's a lot to consider when you're learning this business and a lot to consider when you're figuring out how to best serve people. But there's some things that I think are really the main tasks that we have, the main things we should be focusing on, especially in this market. Oh my gosh, it's wacky. So there are some things that I had thought about and made some notes on, and then were really all touched on in the meeting this morning, which is great as an introduction to this. So what we're going to talk about is how you can best serve your clients in general, but I think these things are especially important in this market. So if you've been out there at all, you know that this is a very fast-paced market, that homes are coming on the market and getting accepted offers within 1 to 3 days, that nearly anything out there has at least 2 offers, and sometimes as many as, I learned this weekend, 46 offers, which is just a sign of a way undervaluing the price on a home. But a lot of them I'm seeing between 5 and 15 offers is pretty common. So this is intense competition. This is unusual. This is very challenging, especially when you're new, to figure out how to navigate this market. And it all comes back to how you're taking care of your clients. That is ultimately what it's about. It doesn't matter if you have a year or 15 years in this business. It's all about best serving your clients. That's how you're going to help them win in this market. It's how you're going to take great care of them so that they refer people to you. It's how you're going to give them a great experience so that when they end up in their home, they are happy to be there. They're not regretting what they did to get that offer accepted. They're glad that you were there to navigate them through. So these are important things at any time, but especially now. So the 3 things we're going to talk about are setting expectations, which is one of my favorite things. I love to be proactive. It is so worth the time and effort up front. So setting expectations is huge. Controlling what you can. And you heard Nikki talking about this morning, controlling the controllables. This is huge. This is huge for you in this business, owning your own business, being in charge of your business, figuring out how to navigate learning this business. But for your clients, this is also huge, and helping them to see what they can control, helping educate them on what we can control, and taking charge. That's important, especially in this market. And the last one is staying positive and professional. It is very easy to feel kind of beat up in this market. I feel a little beat up today. It is really easy to start complaining about all the things that are out of your control and other agents and who should have done what, and if only this had happened. That doesn't get anybody anywhere. And honestly, we don't have time. We don't have time to sit around and complain. We should be proactive. We should be positive. We should be moving things forward, keeping our clients on track, and being professional. Because ultimately, you're going to come across these agents again. So if you've got a problem with how they did something, or you're feeling frustrated and focusing on the negative, That's going to make for a less professional interaction, and that will come back and bite you. I guarantee it. You're going to come across these people again. So those are the 3 things I want to touch on today. So first I want to talk about setting expectations. Now, I did a couple of classes last year. One was called Accountability to Your Clients, and one was called Accountability to Your Co-Broke. I think there was an accountability to yourself as well. These are more detailed versions of kind of some of the things I'm going to cover today. I also had a class about buyer consultations, and so did Janine in productivity. So it is really worth watching those if you have not yet. I cannot express enough the importance of having a buyer consultation. And I'm not talking about things while you're in a showing. I'm talking about a planned and scheduled appointment where you either sit down in person or you do a Zoom or FaceTime. I would not do it on the phone if you can help it. I would try to at least get some facial expressions and video interaction. If you can do it safely in person, that's great too. But this is a time when you will find out how dedicated your buyers are to making this happen. How motivated are they? What is their real true budget? There's what they want to spend, but then there's what they can spend. And it's understanding where they're willing to go and where they're going to be comfortable. And a lot of times you're going to get we would spend this much maximum if we could get the perfect scenario, if it was like the greatest house and we were in competition and all these things. So that meeting is showing you that they're dedicated to working with you, right? They're taking the time to sit down and have this meeting. It's more serious because you are not just off the cuff on a showing. There are certainly times when you may find that someone out of the woodwork wants to see a specific house and you can't wait. So sure, show them that house, but then say, to really best set you up for what's happening in this market and to set you up for success and to help understand more about what you're looking for and what your needs are, we should set a time to have a little chat. I call it a home chat. You can call it a consultation, whatever you want to call it that works for you and your clients, but having that time to get some really important information about what is their main priority and where they're coming from. Ask them where they work. Find out, is commute a concern? Are they working from home? Finding out their profession is going to give you some insight into how they look at this process, right? If you've got somebody who's worked in construction before, then you explaining to them an engineer's look at a foundation is probably going to come across differently. If you're working with somebody who's a project manager, they're going to be super organized. They're probably going to have a spreadsheet, knowing what personalities you're working with is so important, is going to help you keep that in mind when it comes to setting them up for success in this market, helping them navigate all of the ups and downs of this process. So that's super important. Setting those expectations about what they should expect from the market. And a couple of people touched on this morning. We are pretty much always going to be in competition. Set that expectation. You're not going to find a deal. You're not going to be the only offer. It's very rare those things come up. Every once in a while, there's some random opportunity, but for the most part, it is safe to say we're going to have to see a home within a day or two on the market. We're going to have to decide that day if you want to write an offer or not. And we're going to have to be extremely aggressive with that offer because there's going to be a good amount of competition. It is intense out there. We have low inventory and high demand. The interest rates are great. People are excited. We hope to see more inventory soon, but that's very much right now. We are in heavy competition. And it's scary to say that. You don't want to freak people out, but it's also important to make sure they're aware. So it's all in how you deliver it. And a lot of that comes down to reading who you're working with. So picking up on those small things, what they do for a living, how they've interacted with you up to the point of having that meeting. Have they had tons of questions? Do they seem nervous? Do they seem really laid back? If it's a couple, oftentimes they're opposites. So understanding how to deliver that information without freaking people out. It's entertaining to start shouting about 46 offers on a house, but does that really get an important point across, or is it just you blabbing about what's happening in the market? Make sure that you're being intentional about how you're delivering that information and what you're telling them. So it's crazy out there. I'm not going to lie. There are many offers on any house that we look at. However, I want you to know that I'm aware of what it takes to get an offer accepted. I know how to work a contract. I know how to be creative with the contingencies in there. We are already aware that homes are being priced under market value by $15,000 to $45,000. We need to be prepared for that. We're not going to look at listings at the tippy top of your budget because we know we need to add dollars to that amount. Setting those expectations, helping people understand what's going on, giving them insight, and then telling them how we're going to address that. Don't worry, we've got your back. I'm an expert. We can make this happen, but we're going to have to be thick-skinned about it. Our first offer might not get accepted. We may have to write more than one offer to get to the accepted offer, but trust that it's always going to work out for the best. So setting people up for those expectations, setting people up for what's happening in the market, taking the time to do a buyer consultation is crazy important. Taking notes, having them talk about what they're looking for, asking questions as to not only, okay, so you want 3 bedrooms and you want a good size yard, fine. Find out why. Why do they want those things? That's going to inform how important those things really are and what kind of flexibility there is. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be a give and take, right? They're not going to get everything they want. If it's 85% or better out of 100 of what they really feel like they need and want, it's worth writing an offer. And they need to feel pretty strongly because they're going to have to make a great offer. So setting expectations is huge. This is also true for sellers. So if you're working on a listing right now, yes, it's a seller's advantage in this market. Absolutely. But does it mean that there aren't some things you can do to help make this easier on them? Having a bunch of offers doesn't necessarily put a seller at ease. It can be a lot to take on. It can be overwhelming, and there's no need to put them into that position. That house, in my opinion, that had 46 offers was grossly underpriced, and that could have been avoided. If it had been priced closer to that range of 15 to 30,000 under market value, they wouldn't have had 46 offers. So being really intentional about how you're sharing the information with your sellers, how you're giving them the details they need to know to empower them to make the best decisions for positioning their home for sale, and then warning them, we may be overwhelmed with offers. It might be worth considering an offer review time frame. I'm going to be very organized about it. I'm going to have a spreadsheet. I'm going to, keep track of everything and keep in touch with all these agents. I'm going to do everything I can to get you the best position possible and not just collect offers and pick one, but really try to set you up for your best case scenario. And we're going to do that by being proactive with the listing. We're going to let agents know when we're reviewing offers, if that's what you choose to do. We're going to let agents know your preferred closing date or occupancy. We're going to try to get you the best scenario possible. And we're going to be proactive about that instead of waiting for people to ask us that question. So there are definitely things you can do for sellers too. It's not just, with sellers, just set it and forget it. And it's going to be, crazy and we'll just get through it. And won't that be fun? There are things you can do to make that smoother and a better experience for them too, because you also want to make sure it gets to closing. So the more proactive you can be, the more you can, get what information you can about the agent and buyer that you potentially are working with, closing up those loopholes, bulletproofing the transaction to make sure it gets to closing is also important. So this is not just about buyers. But those are some important things you can do to set expectations. And you're going to have to repeat yourself. How many times have you learned something new, like how taxes work or investments or something that's not familiar territory for you? You've sat through an entire presentation or meeting with somebody who's an expert. And at the end, you're like, I think I retained about a third of that, right? This is a lot of information, and it's emotional and it's exciting and it's fast paced, and you're going to have to repeat yourself. So be prepared for that. Be ready to repeat yourself, and in a non-annoyed way, answering questions, being approachable about things is going to be an important way to help guide your clients through, whether they're buying or selling, to just reset those expectations, to remind them of what we're seeing, to let them know when there's maybe a change, but being the person who's in the driver's seat. Which brings me to controlling what you can, controlling your controllables. So have you, at this point in this business, have you ever felt kind of out of control? Like you're just being thrown around? Oh, house, gotta go right now. Let's go look at it. Okay, then we're gonna look at this. Okay, and we run off it really fast, and then we don't have time for this. We have to do this, and I still have to do that. No, I forgot about that. Okay, and you're just rushing around. You're getting thrown all over the place. You are not in control, right? That is not the way to approach this business. It is going to challenge you to feel like you're not in control, but you've got to grab onto the stuff you can. Proactive is a big part of that. Being proactive is a big part of that. But to some extent, there's reaction. We have to react to a new listing. We have to react to our clients' needs. But you are the one who is supposed to be the steady hand, the even keel person to go to, the solid person holding this together. You know, your buyers are ultimately making decisions, your sellers are ultimately making decisions, but you're the person who's supposed to have the broad perspective. You're the person who's supposed to keep things calm and in control. So don't let yourself get thrown into this whirlwind tornado of madness, because then your poor clients are going to be flying off somewhere on their own, right? We need to be the ones who are in control, have the information they need, can help shine a light on their path. That is our job. Staying in control and calm is a huge part of what we do. It's why we can't be replaced by machines, in my opinion, right? Sure, an app is not going to tell you, don't worry, here's what's coming next. Hey, I see that you're feeling frustrated, or I understand that maybe something's changed with your schedules. It sounds like the kids are back at home for school. How can we adjust what we're doing to make this work best for you? So we're not just clipping away and pushing you through this, and it's painful and exhausting, right? We're here to make things happen as best we can in a calm and organized way. So being in control of what you can control and helping your clients understand what they have control over. You know, this is a fast-paced market, but we know that a lot of listings pop up on Thursdays and Fridays for the weekend. So let's be prepared to jump on something during the week, but let's set a block of time for Saturday when we're going to go on showings. 2 hours on Saturday, everybody knows when we're going, but the day or two before, let's fill that in with some homes we want to see. Then we know that they don't have accepted offers yet. If they're delayed listings and we know they go live on Saturday, scoop up a showing time as soon as you can, but get that filled up with some showings, 3 or 4 places back to back. We have a great opportunity to compare them side by side. We've got our showings scheduled. We are controlling our time. You know when this is happening, you can prepare in advance, and it gives you time to call that listing agent and get more detail. Make sure you are first reading every inch of that MLS listing, looking at the pictures, looking at the agent notes, checking the showing notes, anything that you can gather, what's in the documents, because there is a chance that there's something in there that means that this is not the house for your clients. And in this market, unless they're just starting out and they need help clarifying where to go, what location they want, the type of home they want, maybe that's a check it out, kick the tires situation. But because of the speed of this market, you have to be so intentional about every showing and how you use your time and how you use your client's time and the seller's time, to be frank. So understanding what they really want, what's super important to them, what's a deal breaker, and making sure that you're double checking the listing before you go out, before you schedule a showing. So important. So important. They're not looking at that stuff. They see the pictures, they see the price, they see the general location, they get all excited about it. They don't think about anything else in the listing. And then you go and they're like, oh man, There's no backyard. I wish I had known that. What a waste of time. Like, you don't want to do that. This is already a stressful market. Don't put them in positions like that. Oh man, I didn't know there was no AC. That's absolutely a deal breaker. If you see stuff like that, even if it wasn't part of your buyer consultation, these are the things that people want or don't want. They might have strong feelings about, right? There's no dishwasher. There's no air conditioning. The yard is teeny tiny. It's on a busy street. This is stuff that people may or may not know or pay attention to as buyers. It's your job, without being a jerk about it, without raining on their parade, to just say, just wanted to make note, it looks like there's no air conditioning. Is that a deal breaker? Or, hey, just wanted to let you know, I think the reason this is such a great price is it's on a busy street. Would that be a problem, or are you open to that? This leads you into more clarifying conversations about what's most important to them, and it helps you to see where they're willing to give and take. There's a terrible saying out there that buyers are liars amongst agents. I highly disagree. This is a huge decision. Buyers are just figuring out what's out there. They're just figuring out what they can get for what dollar amount. They're just figuring out what the layout of a bungalow looks like. They are uninformed, especially if they're brand new or they're from out of town. There's so many factors to consider. It's not about them finding something that's the opposite of what they told you they want. It's about them figuring out as they go what is a non-negotiable. It's a process of elimination. And also things that maybe they never considered are a must-have. So it's a continuous conversation. It doesn't stop at that buyer consultation or that seller consultation. It's a continuous conversation. Communication is something you can control. Checking in, asking questions, pointing out important details, that's something you can control. So don't leave it to chance that you just, oh, you want to see a house? Absolutely. I scheduled it, done. Do your due diligence. Be the one in charge. Be their professional resource. Make sure you take the time to get that information. And if you can't find it, or you know that it is super important that that fireplace works and doesn't just exist, call the listing agent and find out in advance. Hey, could you just tell me if the sellers have used the fireplace before? I have someone who just loves fireplaces, and it would be good to know in advance. Hey, I noticed you don't have anything about offer review in the MLS, but do you have offers in hand? Is the seller considering an offer review time or reply time? Do they have a preference for closing date? If these things aren't noted in MLS, asking in advance is a good thing to do. Listing agents are busy, but if you do it in a polite and efficient way, that's great. It's a good chance for you to build that rapport too. So controlling the controllables is not just about helping your clients understand what they can control, but about you being aware of what you can control. This market will sweep you up, chew you up, and spit you out. And if you don't choose to control what you can control, that will happen regularly. It's exhausting. So make sure you're walking into this with a bird's eye view, knowing what you can control, knowing that you're the one in charge. Being that solid resource for your client is so huge in this market. Don't let them get blown around with you. Help them navigate this in a smooth and controlled way. There's going to be stuff that comes up you can't control. So it's about that next thing, which is staying positive and professional. So not everybody is naturally positive. I'm a real peppy gal. I know this. Not everybody is. I don't think you need to be a fake positive person, right? You don't have to fake optimism to be positive and professional in this job and in this market. Find your own genuine way of doing it. Find a way that's going to speak to your clients. Know your audience. It has to be genuine. You can't be fake peppy about things and then not follow through on making that happen. You can't just be like, well, the market's crazy, but we'll get you a house. Don't worry. Like, that doesn't really help. It might help at the beginning, but getting them through the process, it's important that being positive is not just keeping a positive attitude or faking a positive attitude. It's about genuinely looking for the positives in any situation. So, hey, I found this home on the market that I think has a lot of what you're looking for. It's not 100%, but it could be. Are you open to making some adjustments to this house cosmetically? It looks like it's not showing really well because the pictures are kind of grainy and small. That might be why it's still on the market. I see this as an opportunity for you. Would you be open to taking a look? Or, I noticed this house is probably priced a little high for what's happening in the market. Rather than complaining about how they priced it wrong, this is an opportunity for you. It's priced a little higher than it probably should be, keeping in mind these offers coming in over asking price. It is very likely they won't have an offer. I'm going to keep in touch with that agent. If by the end of our showing weekend, I had this happen to me this weekend. I wrote an offer on a house that has 46 offers. I helped my buyers figure out and navigate how much we could push and stretch that offer to make it as appealing as humanly possible within their comfort zone. And it felt a little icky to me. And I know that they felt like they were really pushing it. So I immediately started looking for other opportunities. So that was my positive take on it. What can we do with what we saw and what's available that might put them in a better position? I found a home that was number 3 on their list that was priced a little high for the market, that didn't have an offer yet. And we rescinded our offer on the 46 offer house and wrote an offer on this new one and got it accepted this morning. So there are always opportunities. Even though this market's nuts, you have to be positive and looking for those chances, looking for those little blips in time when things slow down over a holiday weekend. Those opportunities where there's a listing with crummy pictures, those opportunities where the seller's kind of dirty, but the house itself is great. The kitchen has weird wallpaper, but that's the only thing wrong with the house. There are always opportunities, and you're the one to help your clients see that. Help them see those opportunities in a positive way. It's so easy. Anybody, any agent can complain about what's happening in the market, can complain about these crazy offers over asking, people overpaying, blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to hear that. If they want to buy a house, if they want to sell a house, they want to talk about the good stuff. They want to be aware of what could happen. They want to be aware of the potential pitfalls and bumps in the road. And then they want to hear how you're going to handle them and make them not so bad. And they want to know where the opportunities are, right? Who doesn't want to deal? Who doesn't want to get through this market smoothly? They're hearing their friends are working in this market, trying to buy a house, writing offer after offer. It's so stressful. They had to take out their inspection contingency. Oh my God. Don't you want to be the agent that got them a sweet situation? It can happen. The opportunities are out there. So being positive is huge. Also, being professional. And this was mentioned in the meeting this morning too. I think Ross talked about it, but I can't tell you how often I've had an interaction with an agent. Maybe I want to freak out on them, but I don't. I keep it professional. I keep in mind I could come across this person at any time. And then I do. They have a listing. I desperately want my buyer's offer accepted. And now I have to work with them again. And I sure hope that the impression I left last time was positive. You're going to come across people you have to work with as co-brokes, or people that you're trying to work with who have listings that are going to test your patience, that are going to do things differently than you do, that may seem like they're ignoring you, but maybe they have, a life outside of this job or something else going on with a client. I think giving people the benefit of the doubt helps. That helps it stay positive instead of being upset or complaining about whatever they're doing wrong. Understand that there's a story behind everything somebody does. Everybody's going through different stuff. This is a tough market. We're all trying to do our best. If you approach it in that way, and then do all you can to be easy and respectful and succinct and efficient, then you will go far. People will love working with you. You will come back and write an offer on a listing, and they will remember what a lovely interaction they had with you. This is super important, especially in this market. It is so competitive. Offers are so close together that sometimes it does come down to, does your agent know what it's going to be like to work with this buyer's agent? That could be the difference. So if you didn't call to make a connection with that listing agent, if you hounded them with goofy questions that were already answered in MLS's listing, if you never said who you were when you were texting them, if you scheduled a showing and then canceled it and scheduled another showing and canceled it, when you do these things, people are paying attention. The listing agent's paying attention, or they should be. So anything you can do to seem lovely to work with, to seem easygoing and reasonable, non-dramatic, informed, professional, put together, and positive, that can work to your client's advantage. So keep that in mind when you're interacting with not just agents who are listing a home that you have a buyer for, but also if you have a listing. Yes, it's a lot to take on. All those questions, all those people saying they're sending offers, all those people asking if their offer was accepted. Oh my God, I have to call 15 people back to tell them their offer was not accepted. Do whatever you can to be as professional as possible. There was an agent this weekend who had an incredible listing. It was beautiful. They ended up with 19 offers. And I loved how she handled this. She recognized that calling 19 people in a row at 8 p.m. was probably not the best thing to do for herself, her clients, or her co-brokes or potential co-brokes. So she sent out an email through Showing Time that goes out to everyone who's shown the property. And she had done this proactively leading up to the offer review as well. The MLS had a note about when offers would be reviewed, when they had to be turned in, that she would be in touch by the end of that day. She'd sent out a Showing Time email to everyone who'd shown the property to let them know they had offers in hand and remind them when they needed to be turned in. And then once they had offers and decided on one, she sent an email through Showing Time to tell people that their offer was not accepted if they hadn't heard from her. And she recognized that this is not the way she'd prefer to do things. I would rather call to let you know, but in the interest of efficiency, so that you're not waiting to hear from us, because that waiting with your buyers is so much worse than getting an email and being like, oh, I wish they had called me, right? Like you just want to know as soon as possible. So she sent out an email and said, all of the offers were wonderful. We so appreciate all of your efforts. Sellers have chosen another offer, but thank you for your time and your patience. I'll be following up with the signed rejected offers in the next 24 hours. She covered all the bases. And it was done in such a professional way. I did not mind. I didn't get a phone call because reasonably, I don't expect a phone call when you have more than 10 offers. It's just too much. If you can pull it off, great, do it. If you have the time, fabulous. But if you don't, there's other ways to be professional and positive about it. She could have said, I have so many offers to deal with. This is crazy. Everybody's asking me questions. This is too much. I'll get back to you when I get back to you. She could have treated that very differently, but she remembered that at some point she's going to be writing an offer on those other agents' listings, or she's going to need to find out if that agent has a new listing coming up, or she's going to have a listing that's hard to sell and that agent may bring a buyer. So it's really important that you're remembering that we interact with each other all the time. There's thousands of agents. You would be amazed how many people that you cross paths with regularly, especially if you're in a certain area, you're farming a certain area, or you're looking at a certain price point. You're going to come across each other all the time. So it's really, really important to keep that in mind. Staying positive for your clients is huge. Staying positive for your own mental health is huge, right? This market is challenging. This job is challenging. There are times when you just want to take a nap instead of writing 2 more offers that probably won't get accepted, right? But at the end of the day, it really pays off to be positive for everybody. And keeping your professional self about you is so huge. This seems like a real casual, flexible job. You're not in a specific office. You're not wearing a suit every day. It's sometimes hard to figure out the decorum, right? Some agents are more casual than others. At the end of the day, being professional is just being considerate. Put yourself in that other agent's shoes. Put yourself in your client's shoes. Put yourself in that seller's shoes when you're on that showing. Be professional. Have yourself put together. Be considerate. These things are so important, and especially in this market can make a difference. Not to mention people have cameras in their homes, right? So all those little things you're saying and doing, they pick up on that stuff. Absolutely. So those are the 3 major things I think are important to focus on to best serve your clients, to best work with other agents, and honestly, to best do the work yourself. I mean, if you're taught in this tornado of not being in control, if you're falling down the rabbit hole of negativity, if you're not being proactive and you're just reacting to everything, it's this business is going to be so much harder, so much harder, and you're not going to always be in control. You're going to have to react. You're going to have to figure stuff out on the fly. But the more prepared you can be, the more you can prepare your clients, the more you can move together forward as a team, instead of feeling like they're wandering off on their own, or you're leaving them behind, or they've gotten caught up in a, tailwind. There's so many things going on that if they know that you're the anchor to keep them moving forward, the better off you are, the more dedicated they'll be to you, the more they'll be willing to listen to you and trust you, and the more likely you are to get them to the closing table and their ultimate goal. So these things I think are super important all the time, but especially in this market right now. So remember to set expectations and be proactive. Keep in mind what you can control, controlling the controllables. I love that. And staying positive and professional are huge, 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 huge all the time, but especially right now. If you are ever in a moment where you're feeling a little out of control or you're questioning what you're doing, I think coming back to these 3 things is key. Am I being positive right now? Am I looking for the opportunities? Am I being professional right now? Am I controlling what I can, or do I feel like I've lost control? Am I setting expectations and being proactive, or am I just waiting for something to come along and reacting to it? So if you focus on these 3 things, I think you will find great success in this market, regardless of what's happening. You will have very dedicated clients, and you will have much better interactions with other agents. So we've got time to open up the floor. I'm curious if anybody has come across a situation where they used one of these things, or maybe wish they had, or will now. Anyone willing to share?
So Amanda, this is Zer, and I'm a new agent. I'm about 1 month and 5 day old.
Great, welcome.
Yeah. So I have been saying very positive, because I just came in knowing the industry was just this crazy. Mm-hmm. But something that I have been running into is that every time I book a showing, so for example, the most recent one is last night, one of my clients sent me 4 listings she wanted to see today. I went ahead and booked them, and they all got approved. And then this morning, 2 got accepted offer, and then they just got canceled. And then I had to tell her, and that happened to me about 5 times already. So my thing is, how do I be productive and work around that? Because obviously I can't control that. So what is my alternative to help my buyer?
That's a great question. So what I would say to that is a couple of things. One, if you're scheduling showings for Monday or Tuesday for a listing, if you're scheduling showings for a listing that's been on the market for more than a couple of days, there's a very good chance they have an offer in hand, at least one. So when that's happening, especially if it's a Monday after a weekend that you're trying to show a property, I highly recommend reaching out to the listing agent to find out if they have any offers in hand. So they may not have decided on one yet, but if they have offers in hand, and if they have a planned offer review time. If they have that in place, you may be able to proactively get your client in earlier. So if they're saying, we do have offers in hand, we're reviewing them at 6 p.m. on Sunday, you know that you probably would need to show them the property no later than 3:30, maybe 4 on Sunday, so that you have time to write an offer. And especially when you're new, that takes longer. So giving yourself a couple of hours to get an offer together and into the agent before they review is important. And I would say not just finding out when they plan to decide on an offer, but when they would like offers at the latest.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, great. That's so helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah. A lot of times you'll find that there'll be an interest in a property and you can say, let me find out more about that. get in touch with the agent, whether it's a call or a text. If you text, identify yourself and what broker you're with. And then having that information, you can go back to your client and say, hey, so to avoid us feeling disappointed about them having an accepted offer, here's what's going on. We could still potentially get in. I'm looking at the showing schedule right now. It looks like there is a 3 o'clock available on Sunday. Would you be available then instead? We should just be prepared to write an offer right away to have a chance at it. And that way they're set up.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Who else? Grady's not here today, you guys. You're going to have to talk.
Hi, Amanda. I'm finding more and more agents in this market are hard to get in communication with before you can get in to see the listing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's frustrating. I had one that we actually did get the accepted offer on, the house we actually just closed on, but the agent wouldn't communicate with me at all up until the point of, oh, just so you know, your offer's been accepted.
Yeah. That does happen on occasion. It's rare, I would say. It does happen on occasion. I can say, you know, when it comes to communication, in an ideal world, we give a little bit of time for a reply. So it's not like, I'm driving to the house. Can we get in now? Do you have any offers? Not that you necessarily did that. But I think, you know, being on the other side of it, where I have people who text me and I cannot reply for like 2 hours. I just cannot. I'm driving, I'm on showings, whatever. There's no way I'm getting to my phone for 2 hours. So I think giving a little time can help if you can do it. I also find that it may be most effective I try to always call if I can. I know not everybody answers, but I'll call, I'll leave a brief message. I'll mention in the message I'm also going to text them, and then I'll text and include my name and broker with that text, in hopes that whatever kind of communicator they are, that they would catch those things. In some cases, I'll email also, because there's a chance they might have like an assistant or someone monitoring their email. There are certainly agents who are very, very difficult to communicate with. It's a good perspective on why you don't want to be one of those agents, everybody. But yeah, there are times when that happens. And I would say just do everything you can, and also make sure your client knows that you're doing everything you can. I think so often we get caught up in doing the tasks of our job that just seem like what we should be doing, but they have no idea what we're doing. So especially in this market, I think buyers can feel that way, and always with sellers, because they're just kind of sitting waiting. Make sure that you're telling them, okay, so I reached out to the agent, I called, I left a text and an email. You know, we're going to do the best we can with what we can control. So we'll try to schedule this showing, or we'll, you know, check in regularly. But it seems like they've been slow to get back to me, whether they're busy with a client or have a family thing, or they're like taking a shower, who knows. But as soon as I have information, I'll get back to you. But, you know, on occasion, it's harder to get a hold of people. So we'll just do everything we can to keep in communication with you and keep checking back. Because the other side of it is, you don't want to be too annoying, right? Like, you've got this offer on the line, or you potentially want to write an offer, and you don't want to look like the obnoxious agent who's constantly bugging them about stuff. So it's a delicate balance to being super nice and professional, but also trying to get information for your clients. You know, at the end of the day, they're working at their pace. So as much as we can, we do what we can to reach out to them, and then just let your clients know, like, I'm trying this, I'm trying this, I'm trying this. So at least they know you're doing your best, instead of just wondering, hey, what's going on with that offer? And you're like, oh, I haven't heard from the agent, or actually, I just reached out to them. They don't know what you don't tell them. So I think at the end of the day, if our job is to best serve our clients, then the best thing we can do is do what we can to reach out to that agent and try to communicate with them and let our clients know that we're doing it. You know, if they're on a team, you can always try to reach out to the team number or head person, or, you know, in an extreme case, their broker. But I would say, you know, in some cases, not getting a response until the end of the day does happen, from somebody who is definitely very active every day, has not taken a day off in 3 weeks right now, because I have so many people that need things. I can't necessarily get back to people immediately if it doesn't feel like an immediate need. So they may be in that position too, or they might just be a bad communicator. And then we do all we can. But that's a good question. That does come up. I think that's a good point, Laura. Not everyone's going to be as professional or as great of a communicator as all of you will be or are. All right, what else do you have? How are you setting expectations for buyers now? Are you doing buyer consultations? Have you taken the time to figure out what that looks like? Is there anybody you're working with right now that you have not had a buyer consultation with who is a buyer? If so, are you feeling like that is a little crazy or needs to be rerouted, or perhaps they need some reminders?
I'm telling the buyers that I'm working with, the handful I've accrued so far, that they have to move very quickly. When I try not to push them. In a couple cases, they're professional, intelligent, people that, it's not my style to begin with, but there's you're almost threading a needle by being, professional and courteous without, ramming something down their throat and saying, I need something by 2:00 this afternoon or something. I mean, it's just, and I'm commercial, so it's a little different animal, but you just have to make them aware that, within 24 hours, it could be, off the market, under contract, blah, blah, blah. So.
Tom, that's a really good point. Feeling like you're not pushing people and forcing them, where they feel like you're hard selling them on something. Oh, sure. You just want me to write an offer quick so you can get an accepted offer and get a check. Yeah, that's not where we're coming from, or shouldn't be. But I think it is easy for people to interpret it that way if they don't know what's happening in the market. So being really open about what's happening and being really knowledgeable and speaking from the perspective of, here's what's happening. I work for you and I want you to reach your goals. And we want to do that together as a team. And the way we're going to do that is by moving quickly, is by writing an aggressive offer. Here's some examples of what I see happening in the market, rather than, oh my gosh, we have to go now. You have to write an offer now. Can you increase your price? There's a different approach to that. Of course, you may have a client who is more direct that responds to that. But I do think just straight out telling people in your buyer consultation, reminding them when you're out and about with them, I'm not here to hard sell you. This is about you. This is not about me. I am here to be your guide. I'm here to set you up for success in the market that's happening now. Let me tell you about what we're seeing. And maybe that changes a little bit from your first consultation, right? We're working with people for a lot longer period of time before their offer is accepted. So it's not a month, it's maybe 3 months. So during that time, things can change. Hey, I noticed this weekend, the inventory's up a little bit, right? You've got Charlie's stats every week to cheat off of. I'm seeing the inventory go up a little bit. We're seeing showings increase. It's very likely this weekend is still going to be very active. We may see more homes that are opportunities for showings, but we're also going to see competition still. There was a house last weekend that had 15 offers. I couldn't believe it. Was crazy. But don't worry, if it's the house, we'll talk about what you have to do to get that offer accepted and whether that's going to work for you or not. So being that really calm, in charge, professional voice of reason, and resource them, I think is so big. And that's a good point, Tom. You don't want to come across as, if you get caught up in the energy of everything that's happening, and you're like, oh my God, we have to go. Just think, that's not a great energy to have when you're writing an offer on your largest investment, right? This is big money for people. So being that like twittery, oh my God, that's not going to help anything. It's not going to help anybody. It doesn't put anyone at ease. It makes them feel like you're out of control. And if you're just being super aggressive and pushy, that doesn't go over well either, generally, especially around here. So being very honest and straightforward and genuine about the fact that you're working for them, you're here to get them the best scenario that you can. You're listening to them, you're paying attention, you're asking them good questions all along the way to see how they're feeling, to see if their priorities have changed, to see if they're burnt out and they want to break. Give them that opportunity. Hey, we don't have to stop working together, but if you want to take a week hiatus from all this madness, I understand. You just lost out on an offer. You want a little time to grieve. That's okay. I'm going to keep looking for you. I'm going to let you know if something really fabulous comes up that's a great fit for you. I'm not just going to keep shoving homes at you that may or may not be an option. So if you want a little break, that's okay. We don't have to go at this pace unless you want to. So just sometimes just stating those things to people and helping them to understand that you really are looking out for their best interest and you're not just here to sell them something, I think is really important. And it's easy to forget when things are moving so fast. So that's a great point, Tom.
Sometimes the pressure can kind of come from both ends. I'm working in a situation where I have a buyer, kind of, I guess, rare for now, that he's interested in the property. I'm not going to say where, I'm not going to say who the listing broker is. I'm going to leave the names out of it. But that listing agent now is giving me a little bit of pressure. Now, if he had 20 offers in front of him, there would not be this pushing, which is, it's mildly annoying. I'm just trying to get used to it. But so now it's like, okay, that's an anomaly, I'm assuming, because of the market. And it's like, I've also received, a couple little, notes for Showtime, like give feedback, which I already did, but I keep getting them. It's like, I want to shoot myself, but somehow it's not registering or something, but there can be pressure from both ends. That's for sure. So,
yeah. And, you have to, it helps me when that's happening to understand, like, even if this agent's being pushy, they are just trying to represent their client to the best of their ability. They have a nervous seller who sees all these homes getting accepted offers and they don't have one yet. And they really want to know, like, are you still interested? What can we do to work with your buyer? They may not be addressing it in the right way, right? Questions like, are you still going to write, is annoying. Questions like, how can we bring this together? How can we make this work? My seller really wants to, they're motivated. They want to be reasonable. This is a competitive market. I'm sure your buyer would love an accepted offer. How can we bring this together? The two of us professional agents, how can we make this work for our clients? So not everybody approaches it in the same kind of way. So you just have to be aware of the pressure they're probably feeling and the personality you're dealing with, and not take it personally. And as far as showing time feedback goes, sometimes they don't go through. So go back and check. If you have the Showing Time app, it shows you all the ones that you have yet to give feedback on. Makes it really easy to go through and just bang them out. Yeah. Good point. Understanding and patience goes a long way. Yeah. Cool. Anybody else have any thoughts on what's happening right now, or these three approaches that I think are so important? Do you feel like this has given you at least one nugget of insight that you maybe didn't consider before, or you're going to put into practice? Cool. That's the goal. I mean, you really should be taking at least one good nugget is a successful use of your time to come to a class. So that's great. I can't wait till we can do this in person and I can get more feedback from you guys. Well, thank you all for coming. I hope, like I said, I hope that you took something from this that you can use moving forward. Please know that even though you're new, this market's hard for everybody. I feel beat up too. I feel caught up in the tornado also. I have written multiple offers for the same buyer. This is a challenging market, and it's also a market of opportunity. So it's really a matter of looking for the positives, of remembering what you can control, of being proactive as possible, and really making sure you're representing your clients and listening to them. It will get you far, even if they don't end up getting an accepted offer for a while. In the meantime, they may send you their friends. They may refer you to people. They may be talking about their experience with other people. So it's really important to keep in mind it's not just about an accepted offer. It's about how you're handling things. So I think, as you go along, this will be something to come back to. Getting back to the basics is always something that experienced agents talk about, as the market shifts, things change, technology changes, people, customer expectations change, what's happening in the market changes. But when it comes down to it, our job, what we are supposed to be doing at our core is the same. How we do it may change, but what we are really responsible for, what truly makes us valuable, what makes us irreplaceable by a computer or an app, is this kind of stuff. It's that emotional side of things. It's the touches and making sure people are taken care of. It's the being aware of where their heads are at and where their hearts are at. All these pieces are what make us important in the transaction and what help us to give people a best experience. That's really what it's about. They shouldn't feel like they've been chewed up and spit out. They shouldn't feel like they got run over by a bus by the time they get an accepted offer. As much as we can keep them positive and help them understand what they can control and look for those opportunities and give them breaks if they need it, just to be there as their advocate is going to make this so much smoother. They're not going to remember all the drama if most of it isn't dramatic, right? They're going to say they had a great experience. They're going to enjoy working with you. They'll be happy when you keep in touch. They'll want to send their friends and family to work with you. You'll have a good relationship and the experience of their transaction will be enjoyable. And that really can happen even in this market. You just have to keep these things in mind. So thank you again. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I wish you all the best out there in the wild, wild world of real estate. If you want to set up an accountability call with me, please text me. I am about a week out right now with all the things going on. So a little advance notice is great. But that's a 20-minute call where we talk about your goals and your progress towards your goals. If you have questions about contracts or transactions or things like that, the helpline is here for you. Andy Stillman and Stephanie Minnick. And Joan Reed is here Mondays and Thursdays, and she's amazing. She's such a great resource. She was my mentor. She is full of helpful information about contracts especially, but also the process. So use those resources as well. We're all here for you to help you be successful and best care for your clients. So if you need anything, we are all here for you, and we've got those resources at your fingertips. So I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. I will see you next Tuesday. And I hope that you are following these 3 things to really best serve your clients and yourself. And I look forward to hearing more about how those things are working for you next week.
Thanks, Amanda. Fabulous.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.